Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Just get this set up. It does this. Okay, let me just pull everybody out here. So as everybody is pretty much aware, and Leslie, feel free to chime in and also feel free to ask questions as we go through this. All of our teams this year are going to be participating in the SoCal League. And this has entailed us moving not only off of Cal South and onto US Club, but also will mean that all of you will be having to set up what we call team pages in another system called Demisphere that they use for scheduling. So there's already been some confusion between Cal South and Got Sport. And now you're going to have to become familiar with Demisphere. So I'm going to be going through all of that with you tonight. And then I know that many of you have received emails from Michelle Romero, who is the executive director of SoCal, about referee fees and state cup and things like that. So you will periodically receive emails from her. She asks, and she's pretty particular about this, that if you have a question, that you don't go to her, that you come to me first. And if I can't figure it out, then I will go to her. Because I will tell you from past experience that if you send her an email, she will forward it back to me and say, will you take care of this? So please just remember, if you have any questions about any of this, don't go to Michelle, come to me first or come to Leslie. Typically one of us can figure it out. We've been with this league now for several years, so I know the Demisphere system. But if I can't, then I will go to Michelle and she will give me the answer and I'll get back to you. But she asks and she'll just send your email back to me and say, please follow up with this person, and then you'll hear from me. So you might as well just start with me and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to go through these slides. You guys are all in as administrators now, but please keep in mind, if you want to add an administrator to your team, they have to go through the same processes that you went through. So we'll have to add them into Got Sport. They'll have to do the background check, do the disqualification, suspension little thing, and do the safe sport and give me a picture. So all of that process takes a little bit of time. So if you decide that you want to add another administrator, just keep in mind that it's not an overnight process. It takes a few days to get that background check done. It could take some time for that person to do the safe sport. And until they have all of those things completed, they won't be able to be an administrator and we won't be able to print them a card. So I just want you all to keep that in mind as we go through, because often somebody will say, hey, we want to add another administrator, and you forget that you have to go through all of these steps. And it's fine. We don't have a problem adding more administrators to the team, but it does just take some time. So I just want you to keep that in mind. I just want to give a shout out to Leslie, because she's done an awesome job getting you guys your player cards and your medical release forms. It's been a huge undertaking on her part, and I just kind of turned it all over to her because I was kind of focused on the tournament at the time. So Leslie, thank you for all your hard work on that. One thing I will mention is the medical release forms US Club doesn't require this, but I'm just going to say that you should probably get an original signature at the bottom of those medical release forms. I know a lot of people just typed in their name on there. But as you have them at the field with you, you might want to just pull it out and give somebody a blue pen and say, hey, can you just sign your name on here? Just in case you ever have to use those, because the point of those is if something happens to a player on the field and their guardian or their parent is not there, that gives you the authority to get them treated. Now, obviously, none of us ever want that to happen, but I have seen it happen before. I've had to use one of those myself a long time ago when my daughter was playing. So it is important that you have that paperwork in order. So I would just encourage you to get an original signature at the bottom of that form, even though I don't know that it's a requirement. I know Cal South had that requirement, and I got to believe it's probably there was a legal reason for that. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Can I say one thing, Marilee?
Yeah.
About player cards. So there's just a few out there that we're still waiting on cards. Just one or two on a couple teams. Lynn, your team has a few more, but please go through your cards and your medical releases now, and just make sure you have one for everybody. And if you don't, let me know so I can get those to you. I'll email you the ones that I'm still working on. They should be done this week. I'm just waiting for these parents to get me their birth certificate or a headshot, but we're almost there. But I check and I double check, but I think triple checking and quadruple checking is good. So you should know probably from the Attack Summer Classic if you have them, but if you've added new players or anything like that, just touch base with me, please.
And that's especially important for those teams that have added a few players here later in the season. As much as we've tried to keep up with that, sometimes they get past us. We get them into our registration system, but we don't necessarily get them into Got Sport. So I would just keep an eye on your roster. And I'm going to go through with you here some slides that show you how you actually can get into Got Sport and look at your roster and actually print out an official copy of your roster. I know several of you, we did that for you for this tournament this past weekend because they required it, but you actually have the ability to do that yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a minute. Just a couple more reminders. Pets and alcohol are not allowed on the sidelines of the games. Nativity does not allow pets inside that gated area. The sports field is a public place, so obviously dogs can be there, but SoCal does not allow, or their rules say no pets allowed. So I encourage you to encourage your parents not to bring dogs to the field, especially at Nativity where they don't want any animals inside that gated area. They have several signs around that say no pets allowed. It's just amazing to me how many dogs I saw the weekend of our tournament up at SoCal, and there are signs everywhere that say no dogs allowed. So, and I even sent that out in advance to all team managers several times. Please tell your parents don't bring their dogs. But I just kind of gave up after a while because I could not keep up with all the people that were bringing their dogs. So please communicate that to your families. Don't bring your dogs to the field. It gets hot. There are lots of people around. It's not comfortable for the animals. And there are people out there that are afraid of dogs. So we just need to be conscious of that. Alcohol is another thing. There was about 2 weeks ago at a tournament, there was this instance where there was drinking on the sidelines of a game, and they got into a screaming match with the referee, and somebody pulled a knife and chased the referee off the field. So alcohol is just not something we want on the sidelines and around the kids. So please make sure your parents understand that. I don't want to see any red Solo cups on the sidelines unless they have coffee or something in them, please. Drop off and pick up at practices. This is something I just like to have you guys remind the parents of, because often parents don't want to drive all the way back to the back at Nativity, or they don't want to pull into the parking lot at Sports Field to get their car dirty. So they tell their kids to wait for them by the street. That's dangerous and it's not safe. And the coaches lose track of the kids and something could happen. So please make sure your parents know that they need to drive into the parking lots and back to the fields if it's at Nativity, or into the parking lot at the sports field to pick up the kids. We don't want anybody being picked up along the side of the road or hit, especially there at the sports field. I've been there and seen cars go screaming by there at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. It's just not safe. So please make sure your parents know that don't tell their kids to go out to the street and wait for them. They need to come into the parking lot and pick them up.
Hey, Marilee,
Yes.
is there an age that you would want the kids dropped off, particularly with the coach? Like for the youngers, that, like, there's always a time when something could happen and the coach can't make it and the message didn't get out and someone drops their kid in the parking lot at Nativity and they go down and there's nobody there.
Well, that's why we like them to be dropped off or picked up at the field so they can see that. I mean, today was probably a good example of that. We had at the last minute to kind of cancel. I had parents and coaches all texting me and calling me saying, I'm stuck in traffic. There's no way I'm going to make it in time. I mean, that was a horrific accident on the 5, and things were backed up all over North County from every different direction. So we tried to get the word out as quickly as we could, but I would hope, especially with the younger kids, that the parents would wait to see if there's a coach or somebody on the field. But you're right, I have been there at times when I was the only one there and I just happened to get there early and somebody drove back there and dropped their kid off and took right off and didn't even really check to see if anyone was there. So I would just encourage the parents to, hey, make sure somebody's there before you leave your kid, to make sure that someone's going to show. Most of the coaches do get there early to set up, and all of them know that they need to wait until the last child is picked up before they leave. So I think they're pretty good about that. But on a day like today, that I know one of the coaches made it out to the sports field and was there to tell people, but this was my husband, and he left here in Carmel Valley at 2:15, and he didn't get to the sports field till after 3:30. So it took him more than an hour to get there. And he went even knowing that we had already canceled things, because he wanted to make sure somebody was there in case kids showed up or people showed up to drop off. So, I think the coaches are aware of that, but it could be an issue. Today was probably the perfect example of that. Okay, I just want to briefly mention referee fees for this season. So you will all some of you probably received an email from Michelle about referee fees for the season and how they break out. I will also be sending you an accounting sheet that breaks it out for you as well, as to how much do you pay if you just have a single center versus a center ref and maybe one AR, or a center ref and 2 ARs, and how much is your portion of it. In the SoCal League, everybody pays half of the referee fees for every game. It's not like Presidio, where you used to pay all the fees if you were a home game. In this league, everybody pays half the fees for every game. So I will be sending you out an accounting sheet, and then I will be transferring money into your team accounts for your referee fees. Now, this is just for league games. If you're in State Cup, then you will need to cover the referee fees for State Cup. We don't cover the referee fees for tournaments. And she sent out another email with the referee fees for State Cup, and I have a slide of that at the end of the slides here. But the referee fees for your regular league games, regular league season, I'll be transferring that money into your team account. I'll be emailing you out an accounting sheet, and then you can account for that money. And then at the end of the season, if you've used it all up, great. If you haven't, then you'll just return whatever you have left over to me. All right, so I want to get into the SoCal stuff now and talk about that and what your responsibilities will be as a manager with SoCal. And right now, the working schedule has been released to me to put the games on to fields and set up the times. So I'll be working on that. And according to her latest email on the schedules, the official schedule should be released by September 3rd. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but that's what she's saying. I know it's late. It doesn't give people a lot of time to react, but I'm going to show you where you can find a calendar of events that will at least let you know, should you expect to have a game the first weekend or the first Saturday or the first Sunday or both. So you can at least let your parents know you should be prepared to play starting on Saturday, September 11th. And then when the schedule comes out, you'll be able to see your schedule for your team, when your games are, and you can put that up on Teams now. So that's the best I can give you right now, is September 3rd. And cross our fingers that we get it out by then, but who knows? All right. So somebody was asking about skills clinics. So skills clinics are every Friday. Now, I say that, but then we won't be holding skills clinics not this coming Friday, but Friday, September 3rd, which is the Friday before Labor Day weekend. So we will not hold skills clinic on that day, but we are holding it this Friday, and we will hold it every Friday through the fall up until November 5th, which is the Friday before we go on daylight savings time that Saturday. So you can calendar that on your team snap every Friday, and then whichever age group you belong to, if you belong to the 4 to 5 group or the 5 to 6 group, so that your team knows. Andy Hargraves is running those, and we've had some guest people out there helping him out. I know Paul has been out there some other coaches that we've asked to help. So we've had pretty good turnout, but we'd love to get more people out there, especially those that would like to get a third practice in for the week. This is part of the registration fees that you pay, so there's no extra charge for this. So we encourage you to go. And the other thing is the goalie training. The goalie training is ongoing on Friday afternoons as well. Michael DeRigo does a great job with the goalies, and I encourage you, if you have somebody on your team that's playing goalie, to get them out there and have them participate. It's really important that they go consistently, because Michael has a curriculum and it builds on itself each week. So it's important that the goalies attend and they are there consistently, so that they can begin to build on the training that they're getting.
Will that one be off on September 3rd as well, or are they having that one?
I haven't heard from Michael yet, but I'll let everybody know. My guess would be yes, but I don't know. He doesn't follow necessarily the skills training. Okay. So GotSport is the system like we used to talk about Cal South or Affinity. So GotSport is the system now where all our players are registered. And this is where you would look at your roster, pull off your official team roster, keep track of your players. So I want to go through with you how you actually get in there, how you look at your roster, how you can print out that official roster, and then answer any questions that you might have. So the first step is to go to GotSport, and then you log in, and you should land on your account page. And you click on dashboard and you see the requirements. So what I'm going to do is I've got a series of slides here that I'm going to go through that will then kind of show you that. So this is the GotSport login page. So this is where you would log in to your GotSport account. This is where I sent everybody when you were setting up your manager accounts or you're setting up your players and uploading your documents. So this is where you would log in. And this is the page that should come up when you first log in. it's your account page. So it shows your profile, any kind of information, has these different roles that you have here on the side. And then you have team management. If you click on role, if you click on dashboard, then it brings you to this page and it shows you your role as a manager, that you fulfilled all the requirements for being a manager. And then if you click on this team management button, it brings up the team that you're associated with. So in Mark's case, it's the girls RSF Attack GO6 Academy team. So you click on the green team name, and when you click on it, it brings you to this team page. It'll bring you to a team page first, and you click on rosters and it will bring up your roster page here. So to be able to see your official team roster, where you can scroll down, this just shows kind of a smaller picture. But to see your official team roster, you go up here and you select under event roster, the SoCal registration pass cards and rosters, and you click search. And that brings you to this page where you can go to documents and IDs. You click on documents and IDs and it shows you roster PDF here. So if you click on that roster PDF, it will bring up this roster for you, this official roster. And that's what we were sending the teams that were in the Premier Cup last weekend that needed an official roster to send for the check-in. So this shows the pictures here, is their name, gives their ID number they've been assigned, it shows their date of birth, and it shows their jersey number if it's been input. Coach, manager. So this is what they were asking for as an official roster. So that's how you would get to that. And you can see on here, there's other things that you can do, medical release forms, things like that, but you should all have that. If you click on players here, it will show you the list of players. If you click on coaches, it will show you the coach. Click on managers, it will show you the manager. So that's where, when you log into this, there's a dashboard, account, team management, different things that you can do off this page. But again, it all is centered around your, this is where you can also, if you click on family, it will show you your any of your players that are associated with you. So that's Got Sport, not to be confused with Got Soccer, which is who we use for our tournament. Got Sport is a registration system separate and different from Got Soccer. They don't talk to each other. So now, as we go into SoCal, we're going to get into Demisphere, which is the system that she uses for scheduling. So to get, one of the things I actually wanted to show you guys though was, let me bring it up here. I told you about the calendar of events that she has. It's a 3-page calendar here. And it goes across the top. It gives you the weekend dates that you'll be playing, and then it breaks it out by age group. So boys 12, this is the boys side, this is the girls side. Shows you, then if you look down this column, it shows you the dates that you'll be playing league games. If you apply and are in State Cup, then it'll show you when you would have State Cup games. Here's the 2010s and 2011s, 08s to 09s, 06, 07, and 03 to 05. And then for our discovery teams, for any discovery teams that we might have. Girls, this is the girls side. So if you're a boys 2012 team and you want to get an idea of when you'll be playing and maybe why you don't have any games on a particular weekend, you can kind of look down here and see, oh, well, we have a Saturday, Sunday game here, but no games here. Saturday, Sunday here, but only one game here, one game here, about 2 here. Oh, no games this weekend because we have the state cup, and on down. And then the league takes a break starting December 6th. But it will come back and you'll end up playing 4 more league games at the end of January, and then you would finish your state cup in early February. So that is how you can kind of look at this and get an idea of what weekends you'll be playing and what days within those weekends you should expect to have games.
So Marilee, it's Kristen. I was wondering, is it appropriate for us to put a placeholder on Team Snap for the days that are marked league for our teams?
Yes,
Okay. And then so my team's not playing state cup, so anything that says state cup or elimination or finals, just leave it blank, right?
right. Yeah,
Okay.
you just won't have any. In some cases, they have a state cup game on one day and a league game on the next, but if you're not playing in state cup, then you don't need to calendar any of those games.
All
Is
right.
it
So I'll
Marilee?
just-
Oh, go ahead, Kristen.
No, I just wanted to confirm, because I had looked at this and kind of cheated and made sure. So can you scroll down, Marilee? Okay, no, my question's answered. Thank you.
Now, this is, you can find this online on the SoCal website. And I'm going to show you where to find it here in just a minute, but I did want to just bring it up for you so you could kind of get an idea of.
Marilee, I have a
Let's go.
question
Go ahead.
before you move on. So like on the boys 2012, on October 9th, that day is blank. Is it possible that a game could be scheduled there?
Scheduled or rescheduled?
Either. Like, is it blank, meaning you cannot play that day, or could there be a game that day?
Well, I believe that she's left it blank because there should not be any games for that age group scheduled that day.
Okay.
I haven't actually confirmed that with the schedule that I have because I'm just starting to get through it, but there certainly are days when days or particular weekends when teams don't have games, I've noticed. So
Okay.
I have another question really, Jen. On the state cup days, is it just one game or is it possible to have multiple games?
hey, Jen, is that you talking?
Yes.
You're coming across. No, I don't hear you.
I thought I heard her ask, is it just one game or multiple games?
A day?
Yeah.
No, you should not have more than one game a day.
On the state cup days, I think she was asking us, even on the state.
You
cup
could
days.
have 2 games in a weekend on a Saturday and a Sunday, but you should not have 2 games on a Saturday or 2 games on a Sunday.
Even when it's state cup, it's just one game.
It could be home or away. Is that what you were asking?
No, I think she's asking if it's state cup, will it, even if it's state cup, is that just one game on that day?
Yeah, no, on state cup, you'll only have 1 game a day too. You won't have 2 games.
And state cup games are kind of sprinkled late in the league season, so it's just the state cup kind of gets going while league is still going on at the same time.
You know what? I'm not. Could you?
So
I'm
look
gonna
at like the girls 2008, 2009. We've got a state cup game on 11/7, but league isn't over yet. And then there's a
Where?
few more league
Here?
games after that, and another state cup game. So state cup kind of seems to creep into league, which I guess it makes sense. League could still go on and state cup starts.
State cup is going to be interspersed with league games,
Yep, makes sense.
at least in the fall. You'll have, it looks, most everybody's going to have 3 state cup games in the fall. And then you're gonna come back and finish up your state cup games in early February, if you're a youngers team. If you're an olders team, you're gonna do the high school break like you typically do at the end of November, and then you will come back in March and finish up your season and finish up your state cup. So everybody, olders and youngers, will have state cup games in the fall. And then you'll come back and finish up your state cup games in the spring, either in February if you're a youngers team, or in April if you're an olders team. Okay, so let me move this out of the way here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through setting up team pages. So this is the SoCal homepage of the SoCal website. And this is where you can find it. And I would suggest that you bookmark it if you haven't already, because you're going to be going to it quite a lot. You're going to be going there to input your scores, to print your game cards, to check your standings. So if I were you, I would do like I've done right here and bookmark it so you can get to it quickly. So this is the homepage of the SoCal. And as you can see going across here, she has Resource Center. So that calendar of events that I just showed you is under Resource Center. So if you click on, if you kind of hover over Resource Center, it gives you a list of things. And I think it's like the second thing on the list that you can click on, and it will bring that up as a PDF, and then you can save it if you want to, or print it out, whatever. It does print on, it does print on 8.5 by 11, but it's pretty small. It's a lot easier to look at on that big screen. Then you have, here you'll have like schedule. So you'll be able to see schedules for everyone here. Standings, you'll be able to see standings for all teams here. Or if you go over here to club directory, you'll be able to get, that's where you're going to go to log in to get to your team page and to set that up. So if you click on, if you hover over club directory, then it pulls up a big, huge list like this of all the clubs that are in SoCal. So you can see RSF Attack is right here. So you would go there and you would click on RSF Attack, and it brings up this page. And this is a page then where it lists all of our teams and then tells you what flight you're in. So if you look through here, you can find girls 10 green team is 2010 flight 3, or girls 08 white is 2008 flight 3, girls 06 academy flight 1. So again, and if you click on the team name, then it will bring up the team page. Now I'm using Lisa's team as an example because her team is playing in Discovery and their schedule is already out there. So this way you can see what it's going to look like. But right now this team page has not been set up yet because no players have been entered. So in order to do that, there's a little team login right here. So you're going to click on that, and it's going to bring you to this login page for your team. And it's going to tell you right there the name of the team, so you can make sure you've got the right one. So you're going to input your email address there, and then the PIN number that you're going to get. So I have everyone's PIN numbers, but you can also click here. If you click on there, they will send you the PIN number. So that might be the easiest thing, but if you want to ask me what your PIN number is, you can send me an email and I can send it back to you. So you put your email address and your PIN number in and you click login. And this is the page that it brings you to. Welcome back. So you want to click on team page here, and it will bring you back to what you saw earlier. Only now you've got all of these little buttons that you can push up here at the top. So to input your roster, you're going to click on roster. And when you click on roster, it's going to bring up a little box that says add new players, because you're not going to add returning players because you don't have any players to add. So you're going to click on add new players. And then the easiest way to do it is to create multiple new players. So I would advise you to click on that. You can add them 5 at a time. If you just have one new player to add, then I would just click on create new player. But as you're all going to be inputting your rosters, and unfortunately you have to do this by hand, there's no way to upload. It doesn't talk to Got Sport. So you're going to have to input your rosters here. You click on create new multiple players, and it brings up a form like this that you can then fill out. Now, you're not supposed to put any kind of personal information in here other than the jersey number, first name and last name, and birth date. So those are the only pieces of information that you put. You don't have, oh, I'm sorry, not birth date, ID number. And that ID number is the ID number that's on their player card, the bottom of the player card. And I actually made a picture of a player card to show you guys. Let's find it. Well, there it is. There's what your player card looked like. And this is the ID number right down here. So that's the ID number that they're looking for. So you would just input the jersey number, first name, last name, and ID number right here. You don't want to hit this auto gen ID number. You just want to input the ID number that's on that player card. And then you go to the next one, and you go to the next one, and you click save. So it will then add those 5 players to your roster, and you can start over again by adding another 5 players until you've added all your players. Now this is system, Michelle likes to point out to everyone that this system is not a live system, so it's not updating as you go along. So don't be too worried if you enter all these names and then you go back to look and you don't see them. Log out, give it a few minutes, and then log back in, and you should then be able to see your roster in there. But don't panic if you don't see it right away. It could take a few minutes to populate. Okay, so that's adding your team roster. There are other things on here. You can, if you want to, put uniforms, you can do colors. You can add a logo if you want. Those are all things that you can do, but you don't have to. But what you do have to do is input your roster. And that has to be done before your first game, because that's what's going to generate you being able to print your game card that you'll use to give to the referees at each of your games.
Marilee, on the directory, it looked like a few teams had 2 different flights listed. What does that mean?
Where?
So like the first 2 on the girls' side.
Here?
Yeah. Yep.
It just means that they didn't have enough teams to do a pure flight 2 or a pure flight 3, so they combined flight 2 and 3. Why they named it that, I don't know. Why they had to say that, I'm not sure, but that's what they did. They didn't ask me, obviously. Okay. So, game day procedures. Now, undoubtedly, Michelle is going to send you out some emails. And she loves to do lots of colors. Those of you that have played in this league before or played in the spring league know that when she sends out emails, she uses lots of different colors in her emails. She likes to highlight things and underline things and send out really long emails. So she's will be, I'm sure she will send you out an email about how to set up your team pages, which is what I just went over with you. And I'm sure she'll send out something about game day procedures. And then she'll post all of that on the website under the resource center. So if you don't get it tonight, or if you don't understand it from when I send out the slides, she'll be sending out something as well. But I wanted to kind of circumvent any of that and kind of go through it with you now instead of trying to hold another meeting next week before the season starts, but kind of go through all of this tonight. So it will be your responsibility as the home team to bring 3 copies of the game sheet. I would encourage you to always bring copies of the game sheet, whether you're the home team or the away team, just to make sure that you have a game sheet there. Because the referees, I don't know what the rule is going to be this year, but in the past, no game sheet, no play. So I would just always encourage you to print 3 copies of it and bring it with you, because something happens, the other manager gets in a car wreck on her way there and no one shows up at the field with any game sheets. At least you have the game sheets and the game can get played. As I said before, each team will pay half the ref fees. Those fees are given in cash, and they're given to the referee before the start of the game. I guess they don't want us to be able to hold those referees hostage when they do a bad job, because you have to pay them in advance, but those are the rules. And then you'll also be having to report the scores. She likes to tell you within 4 hours of the game having been played. They do have an app. What I'm not sure of at this point is if they're going to be using that app. I know, Lisa, you've used that app before, right? Lisa Rocco. And it's pretty simple to use.
Yeah, it's super easy. You just put it on your phone and it's so easy to use. You're done reporting scores in about a minute.
The thing to keep in mind is if anyone on your team, your coach or a player receives a red card, that has to be reported within 48 hours. Not yellow cards, but red cards. So double yellow equal red, and then there are red card fouls, such as denying goal scoring opportunity. And if it's a violent conduct red card, then it must be reported within 24 hours. So I'm sure she will have instructions on how to input the red cards. It's pretty simple, unfortunately, because the schedule's not out yet. I can't show you how to do it because there has to be a schedule where we can actually go in and input a score. So I'll send out directions. I'm sure she'll have it up on the resource center as well. It's not difficult, but the thing to keep in mind is if there is a red card, it must be reported within 48 hours. And if it's violent conduct, which the referee will indicate on your sheet, if it's a violent conduct, it's got to be 24 hours. And violent conduct usually means that the player is out for a minimum of 2 games. If it's just a normal red card, 2 yellows, or not a flagrant violation or a violent conduct, then it'll be 1 game suspension. And the way you show that they sat out that game is you cross their name off the game sheet for the next game. If you forget to do that, then that player will probably have to sit out another game because there won't be any record of that player having sat out a game. So remember, if the player does get a red card, you got to cross their name off the game sheet.
So Marilee, being new to all this, the game sheet, it sounds like the 3 copies, the ref fills it all out, and then the home team keeps one and we keep one and the ref gives one to the league. Is that what's happening with these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There is a fine for not reporting red cards, and it's $150. And the league won't pay that if you forget to report that red card. That's going to be on you and your team. So that's why it's important to remember to do it. So I took a screenshot of a whole page. This is our Boys 04 Academy team, because they actually have a schedule that's in there now. And even though she hasn't input the roster at this point, you can see the schedule here. And if you look, there's this VS for versus in the center here that's in blue. And to get to your game sheet, you click on that versus, and it will then bring, and this is a little bit closer up of it. You click on this versus, and that's where it brings up your game sheet. And it brings up a separate PDF. I didn't bring one up because there was no roster input, so it didn't really bring anything up for you to look at. But that's how you would actually get to your game sheet, by clicking on this versus, and then it will bring up the PDF of your game sheet that you then print 3 copies of. This is what the top of it would look like, but there's nobody in there to add. But this is what it would bring this up, and you would click on this to print game report PDF, and that's what would allow you to print it. It's just hard right now because none of the rosters have been set up, and schedules are not necessarily in there, so it's hard to show you what to do. But this versus is also where you would enter your scores. So you would, again, I can't really show you because there's nothing there to show in terms of entering that. The schedule hasn't officially been published yet. So I'll have to go over this in an email out to everybody with just some more directions, but this is where you would go to get your match report and to also enter your scores. So I'm sorry, it's not there yet for me to show you, unfortunately, so I can't really show you anything. So any questions on that? It's trying to get as much information out there as I could, but there are just some things that it's not publishing yet because the information's not there. So
Mary,
then
I actually had a question, Vivek here. I posted on the chat as well, but should we print this on like colored transfer paper, the game sheets, or that's what we did earlier, or should we just do it on white paper, the game sheets?
just plain white paper is fine.
Okay.
They don't use that 3-part paper like they do in Presidio. So you can just
Okay.
print it on three pieces of white paper.
Got it. Thanks.
So one of the things I did want to mention though is with the game sheets, when you print them out, this league does allow what we call club passing. So the ability to borrow a player to play on another team. The club passing works like this. We have 2 boys 2012 teams. We actually have 3 boys 2012 teams. And they're all 3 in flight 3. So if, for example, one of the teams is short a few players, the coaches could agree to club pass a player from one of the teams to another team. And so what would happen is the manager of the team that the player is being borrowed from would cross that player off the roster. And the manager of the player of the team that the player is going to play for or being club passed to would handwrite that player. So club passing gets a little confusing after a while. Probably not a lot of it going on with the younger ages, but we will be doing some of that with the olders. So you just need to remember, if you do end up being asked to club pass a player, you must cross them off your roster if they're going to play for someone else. And then if they're coming to play for your team, you would just handwrite them in. It's not like in Presidio where you had to go on the system and officially club pass them. They don't have the ability to do that in this. So it's just crossing them off of one and handwriting on the other.
And that's for the specific day?
Yes, just for that particular game sheet. And keep in mind that if a player gets club pass, they can still only play in one game a day. So they can't play for their team and then get club passed and go play for another team on the same day. It's one game a day. Except for goalies. They do allow goalies to play in 2 games, but only if they're playing in goal. They can't play on the field in one game and in the goal the other. They have to play in goal both games. So that's the only way. That's the only way they allow a player to play in 2 games a day is if it's a goalie and only in goal. And players cannot play down in age. They can play up, they can play level, but they cannot play down. So a 2013 player could not play on a 2014 team, but a 2013 player could play up on a 2012 team. All right, any questions on that? Okay, I wanted to just talk briefly about State Cup because I have been getting some questions about that. So any team, and you can go back and look at our list of teams, any team that's in Discovery, Flight 1 or Flight 2 is required to play in State Cup. Those are league rules. So you need to make sure with your coach that you get registered for State Cup before the end of the month. The deadline to register for State Cup is August 31st. You have to go online to do it. And if you don't do it and you're in one of those groups that has to do it, you're going to be entered anyway, and the club will be charged the $700. So it's a $700 for anybody that enters State Cup. So it's like any other tournament. You would do the registration and pay for the State Cup. If your team is in Flight 3, you're not required to play State Cup. You can if you want to. So talk to your coach. If your coach is interested in doing State Cup, talk to them. If so, again, deadline to enter State Cup is August 31st. So you got to get on it pretty quickly.
So Marilee, back to that hybrid flighting with the 2-3. Are we a 3 or are we a 2?
I would say you were a 3.
I would too. I'm hoping.
I would say you're a 3, yes. Because the levels of competition are going to be based on your flight. So I would say Flight 3, especially with the younger ages like your team is, Kate.
Thank you.
So everybody's guaranteed 5 games like we talked about. So you'll have 3 in the fall and then 2 in the spring, in February if you're youngers, or in April if you're an olders. And all the games will be played either at Silver Lakes, which is up in, where is it, Chico? SoCal Complex up in Oceanside, or over here at the Polo Fields, or what they call Surf Sports Park. So those are the 3 venues that they'll be using for State Cup, and they've made promises that we will be playing our games locally. So hopefully you'll either be in Oceanside or Polo for your games.
Silver Lakes is in Norco.
Yes, it's in Norco,
Yes.
not Chico. Yeah.
Sorry, Norco. That
Don't
was the only
scare
thing coming to
people.
mind. That was the only
Don't
thing.
scare them.
Norco, yes, up to 15, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending upon traffic. And again, for State Cup, you would need to budget referee fees. And I have a couple of slides of referee fees here at the end. So that this is the sheet that they put out on the different levels of competition. So, and it's divided by 2010 and younger and 2009 and older. So if your team is in Flight 1, Champions, EC, if you're an ECNL, ECRL, NPL, Flight 1, CSL, Premier, whatever, you would play in the SoCal Super Cup. If you're in Flight 1 Europa, which is the lowest level of Flight 1, or an upper level Flight 2, you would play in the SoCal Elite Cup. And if you're a Flight 3 or a Flight 4, you would play in SoCal Classic Cup. Now, if you're 2010 and younger, it's pretty much the same. If you're in Flight 1, you would play the Super Cup. If you're in Flight 2, you would play the SoCal Elite. And if you're in Flight 3, you would play SoCal Classic Cup. So what they do say is that any team can play up. So if you're a Flight 2 team, but you want to play up to the Super Cup, you can register there, but you can't play down. Again, Kate, I mean, that's a question we should probably ask if you're going to play State Cup, but that would be a decision, you know, Fernando and your team would have to make if you want to make the commitment to play State Cup. This again is on the website for State Cup. So if you're on the SoCal website, they have a little thing here you can click for SoCal State Cup that will take you to the SoCal the website for State Cup. And then this is the registration form when you register. And it kind of goes through the same information here to try and guide you as to which level you should register for. And then you would fill out this information and save and proceed to the next and just go through and complete the information. And then, has anyone registered for State Cup yet? Did they ask you for a credit card at the end?
Yeah, they did, Marilee. I had to pay for State Cup already.
Okay. So that's the separate SoCal State Cup website. And again, at the top there, they have different things. They do have this on that website. So if you have any questions, again, you can pull that up. And then this is what she sent out about State Cup referee fees. So it tells you how long the games are, that you would pay half the fees. The 77 games will have only one ref, but the 99 and the 11-11 should have a full crew of 3. So this is, if you're paying half the fees, then this is over here in parentheses would be what you should have in cash to pay to the refs at the field. And then she breaks it down even further by saying, okay, so if you have only one center ref show up for a 2010-2011 game, then you would pay them 66. So she breaks it down, assuming that something happens and you don't get a full crew, how much do you pay them? And that would be the
So
full
you need to
amount.
be prepared to play for league and for this, you need to be prepared for any like combination of this.
Yes, although for league and for State Cup, any 7-a-side games will only have one center ref.
Makes sense. Cool, thanks.
Hey, Marilee, I have a quick question. On, this is Lynn. This is not Brady.
Yeah.
On the calendar, there's a 3-day playoff that's for the Discovery Group. Is that part of State Cup, and should I also consider that for referee fees, or is that actually part of the actual league play? It's in April. See April 8th, 9th, and 10th.
I think the NPL playoffs are separate from State Cup.
Okay.
And I don't know about referee fees for that, Lynn. I will have to find out about that. I think that's part of your Discovery fees that were paid when the team was registered to Discovery, but I'm not exactly sure. Lisa, do you know anything about that?
I do not. I haven't been able to find any information on that at this point.
Unfortunately, they just don't have a lot of information out there for us on things like that. So Lynn, I will try and find out for you on that, because that's a good question, because my understanding also is that Discovery teams don't, they take care of your referee fees as well. So I think I read that today as I was going through stuff, and I wasn't aware of that. So I'm going to follow up. That's another question I was going to follow up with. So I'll ask about the NPL playoffs and the referee fees for that as well.
Okay, and then should we also budget for quarterfinal, semifinal, final? Or is that paid for once you get to a certain point by SoCal?
I doubt very seriously they're going to pay any of the referee fees. So you probably should budget if you think you're going to go beyond the 5 bracket games for a 1 or 2 elimination rounds as well.
Okay.
And the fees would remain the same,
Okay.
but you know, for your team, for the discovery teams, that's probably something you should think about, is getting on into those elimination rounds.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Now, for you guys, for the showcases, I don't believe you need to budget for referee fees for those showcases, though. I think that's like any other tournament; those fees would be taken care of.
Hey, Leslie, or sorry, Marilee, Nate and I were talking, are those college showcases, or are they just specifically because we're trying to figure out if we're going to attend or not?
Yes, they are supposed to be college showcases. As a matter of fact, they have information up on their website about the one up in NorCal, and about having 100 to 150 college coaches that show up for that. So yeah, they're supposed to be college showcases.
Okay, thank you.
And that's another thing for any of our older teams that are interested, that are not discovery teams. They have a college showcase up in NorCal, and then they'll have another one. Where is it?
It's in the spring.
Yeah, it's in the spring up at Silver Lakes, and the price is $400. So for a college showcase, that's pretty good. So if you're interested, and you're not a discovery team, but you'd like to enter it, that you will have the opportunity to enter. The one in NorCal is at Davis, and then the one down here will be at Silver Lakes. So Jen Snyder, your girls might be interested. Ashley, if Ashley Wilson was on, her boys might be interested. So
I was telling Marilee those fields are gorgeous too. The boys loved playing on them when we were up there this summer.
So any questions on any of that? I can actually bring up the websites and kind of show you, go through them on the websites if you'd like for me to. Or if anybody wants to stay on longer, oh no, longer. But one other thing I did want to bring up before I let you guys go is Leslie is leaving next week on Thursday for an extended, almost 1 month vacation. Yay, Leslie, well earned. She's going over to Italy, going to be traipsing around Italy and throughout Europe. So get her while she's still here, because then you're stuck with me after that. But so for the month of September, pretty much, I'm going to be it. So if you have questions, remember to direct them to me versus sending them off to Leslie, which I've already told her she's not allowed to take her laptop with her. So most likely it'll just go into her email and it will sit there until she gets back towards the end of September. So I'm sure she'll send out a reminder email that she'll be gone, but I'm just warning you to keep in mind that she'll be gone, and it'll be me you'll have to deal with at that point. So if we need to print player cards or get people added to the roster, that'll be up to me. I'll do my best, I promise. So Leslie, did you have anything else on uniforms or anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, so that's another good thing. If you can just kind of touch base with your teams to see if they have their uniforms, kind of what the ETA is. I can also try and find out what the ETA is hopefully they haven't just ordered them, but I'm still waiting to get uniforms back from the tournament. So if you have any, please connect with me so I can get them back. I'd really like to get them back this week, because there are players out there who are going to need them, and Marilee's going to have to be the one distributing them. So the quicker I can get them back and get them organized, the better, please.
Thanks, Leslie. Actually, question on the uniforms. I have ordered, blood jerseys and goalkeeper jerseys, but it's been almost a month and a half. Can you help me follow up on those? Or
Yeah, if you don't mind just shooting me an email on that, that'd be great.
okay,
And that's
sure.
I'm not as worried about that. It would be nice to have, but if you don't have those, they can wear the opposite jersey for the goalkeeper jersey. They can wear a penny. They have something else they can wear if they need to. I'm mostly concerned about the field players.
Yeah, one of my field players does not have a jersey, so that's why I guess I'll follow up with them as well.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'll have a good trip, by the way.
Thank you.
I will say that soccer.com did send us an email that Leslie and I got apologizing for the problems with delivery. But at the tournament, just through emails from managers of other teams that were attending the tournament, we're not the only club having this problem. Pretty much it's a universal problem with all manufacturers. When COVID hit and they had to shut down some warehouses and open up manufacturing centers in other locations, and everything is behind, and COVID is the perfect excuse for everybody to not be able to get things done on time. But soccer.com did send out an email to all of their customers, just apologizing and saying they've never seen things like this before and they're doing the best that they can. So it is not just us that's having this problem. I got questions from all kinds of managers saying, hey, half my team doesn't have a uniform. What do we do? And I just was telling them, put them all in the same color and make sure there's a number on their back. And otherwise, I don't care if they match. So it is a problem across the spectrum for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Leslie, it's Lisa. Really quick. So part of our order has been canceled. So I had ordered extra shorts for Robert just because it's his second year and they're kind of worn. But then all the socks that we ordered have all been canceled. Is there a second option that we need to choose? You can't even order the socks, the club socks.
No socks.
I'll look into that and see. I know that I did hear that Nike stopped making some of the socks, but I didn't know that they were not shipping, period. So I'll let you know about that.
Okay, yeah, because they've been completely canceled, as have the shorts that I ordered for Robert.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Okay, thanks.
Marilee, the schedule with just the dates, no times for all the different age groups, where did you get that? Did someone email that to you, or is that available on the SoCal site?
Okay, I'm gonna bring up.
Because I think I'd seen an earlier version of that came from SoCal, but it looked different.
That's because this one is a revised one. So if you click on the SoCal website, oh wait, I'm not showing my screen, am I?
No, you are.
Oh, okay.
Good. Yeah.
So if you go here under Resource Center and you go down here to SoCal Calendar of Events and you click on that, it brings up that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And save it from there and print it or whatever you want to do.
Thank you.
Again, this is where you find your club directory. This system is very slow. It's actually faster now than it has been. You go down here and you find attack, and it brings up the list of our teams, and you highlight and click, and it will bring up the page. You can scroll down and see. It won't necessarily do anything because you're not logged in, but oh look, Lisa, you put your roster in.
I was good this afternoon. I sure did.
So this then it would be the official game report that it would print out. So it works when there's a roster, and then it should print the other team's roster on here as well, so you can check them. Then the referee will fill this part out.
I'm sorry, does this need to be sent somewhere after it's completed?
Nope.
Nope, just hold on to it.
You just hold on to it. if there's ever a question, they may ask you to scan it and send them a copy.
Mhm.
But no, you don't have to send it anywhere. It's not like Presidio that, wanted you to email it in. You just hold on to it. And if
Okay.
there's a question about a score that gets entered, then they may ask to see it. So don't throw them out. Hold on
Right.
to them for the season. And then once the season's over, you can throw them out.
Okay, thank you.
Will they need the official roster for any reason? For game?
Not for this. The official roster is whatever is in Demisphere for the gaming. But
Mhm.
if you're in another tournament that asks you for a copy of your official roster, then that you would get from Got Sport.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Anybody else have any questions? I didn't check the chat. Anybody been writing?
I was trying to keep up on it.
Yeah, Lisa, did I answer your question about ID numbers?
Yes, you did. I'm good.
Oh, so she did send out an email that team pages are now available. So they have been available, but you can actually go in and do what I just showed you to do. And you don't need the colored paper. And the reason it's not showing on my page, Lisa, is because I took these screenshots this morning before you input your roster, so.
Yeah, I didn't do that till this afternoon. Sorry.
And Jennifer, in terms of knowing where your team is, if you're flight 1 or flight 2 or flight 3, if you go over here, let's see, for example, your team is here and you click on this, it's going to show you a list of all the teams of flight 1. So you're going to go down here and you're in flight 1 San Diego.
Right, but for the state cup, there were the two different, in the graphic that you showed, there was the flight 1 champions play in the one, and then the
So that-
flight 1 Europa plays in the elite.
So that would be a question to ask. I would assume that because they don't really show champions versus Europa on this. So I'm not really sure how they're classifying these, if you would be classified as a champions or a Europa. So
Right.
you,
I know Malcolm has mentioned Europa.
right. I'm gonna email her and ask her that. And I'll ask her about the referee questions too.
Thank you, Marilee.
Okay, anyone else? Thanks, you guys. I know it was a long meeting and I apologize, but I wanted to get through this. I will be sending you out once I've got the schedule done, I'll be sending you out your accounting sheets and we'll transfer the money so that it's in your account prior to your first game. And any other instructions that come out, I'll pass along to you. So, thank you.
Thank you. Great info.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks,
Marilee.
guys.
Hey, Marilee, have
Yes.
you heard anything about Wesley? Has she registered, put stuff in? I don't see her in Got Sport yet.
Who? Oh, Wesley Adikes?
Yeah,
Well,
I put her in today.
okay. Perfect.
No, we
All right,
haven't-
thank you.
we haven't received birth certificate or anything from them yet, so.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm waiting on that.
got it. Okay, thank you. Just trying to stay on top of it because that's another card I have to hunt down.
Yeah, all right,
All right, thanks, guys.
okay. All right, guys, good night. Hey,
Bye.
Leslie, Leslie, stay on for a minute, okay?
I'm staying on. Yep.
Hi, Jen.
Bye.
So did you find that Right now, there you go. Did you find the slides, or do you want me to actually send them to you?
Oh, I haven't looked yet because I figured you'd be working on them. I didn't want to.
I wasn't working.
That was good. That was very informative.
So the instructions are there, but I'm not going to read through them. I'm just going to go through the slides and talk about it as I'm doing it, and then they can read through it. But the instructions are at the beginning before the slides start, and then I just work through the slides. So it's under where did I say it? It's under managers, attack, managers meetings, and then there's a folder called slides.
Yeah.
And then if you just sort it by date modified, it'll come up at the top and it says slides 08/24/2021.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was really, I might give you credit and just show yours and say Marilee did all of this.
I really don't care what you do. It's fine with me if you do that. Or just go through and delete the logo off. That's all you really need to do.
Yeah, but
except I do mention my name in there a few times, so you might want to do a search and replace on Marilee.
Well, but like the screenshots are of attack stuff. So
yeah, that's true.
I could replace it, but it's just, it's good info. So I'll go through my meeting's on Thursday, but I'm meeting with the coaches tomorrow night to kind of go over the schedule. And the weird thing is, and I have to go back and look, and I had emailed Bob, but maybe I don't get it. Johnson hasn't received anything on the game schedules. Like he didn't get an email or anything. And I got something that said they were up, but when I clicked on it, it only had Flight 1 and Discovery.
Okay, well, so that's the way you get to them. Here, I'll share my screen again. You have to go, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go back to the club directory.
Yep.
And you go to your club. So I'm going to go to attack because that's where my login works.
Okay.
And then you go to club login, not team login, but club login. You have to do it from the club page here. So you go to club login. And you log in. And you can see club schedule.
Okay.
And when you click on club schedule, what comes up, it comes up by month. So you can see like there's the whole schedule, home and away for September. And you can do September, you can show October. But so what I do is, so for September, I go here and I export schedule to Excel.
Uh-huh.
And you got to do it by month. It will only export by month. So when you do that, I'll show you what I've done with the schedule so far. So this is what I've done with it. So you get, when it originally downloads, you get this whole thing, full schedule. And you just get it month by month. So I just take each month and then just add it to the bottom. So once I get all of September, then I add all of October in, and on November and December. And then I can, put the filters on here and then sort it however I want. But then what I did was I went through and did it by day. And I color coded the coaches, which has really made a difference, because now when I show all the games home and away on 9/11, all of a sudden I can see, oh, okay, so Mike Jones is gray. He's got one home game, but 2 away games. And in some cases, those games have already been scheduled. The away games have already been scheduled.
Yeah.
So then I can kind of see, okay, well, he's got this other game here. I don't know what time it's going to be. So I'm just going to worry about his 8 o'clock game. So then I gave him a 10:15 game at Nativity. But then it also shows me by color. So here Fernando has his 2 little girls teams, but he's also got his 09 team that's an away game that day. So this has made it actually pretty easy for me to see who's got home and away games and where they're scheduled to kind of track that.
Okay.
And then I just kind of said, okay, so now knowing what I have here, I've got 5 7 aside, 3 9 aside, and 1 11 aside game that day, totaling 9 games. And then that also, what that allowed me to do was go back then, and here's my little color coding. And I then counted at the bottom of each, I didn't do December, at the bottom of each one, how many games I had to make sure I had the right number of games so that I had every game, every home game that I was supposed to have.
Okay. And is that, so if I went in and color coded, because Johnson's doing the schedule, but if there's already a time in there, that can't be changed, right? Like they can't call another team and say, can you change it?
Yeah, they can. You
They
can.
can, okay. If you
You
click
can-
on the team
can
name,
call
does it come up?
Not on here, no.
Okay.
Not on there. But if you go back to that club directory
Yeah.
and you click on the club
Uh-huh.
and then find that team, it will bring up the team page that will at least show the coach's name and number.
Okay.
Or it should show you a list of on the front, the administrators for the club, or like who's doing the fields, who's doing the scheduling. So you could go right directly to the person doing the scheduling.
Okay. And if I went in there, logged in as me and color coded the coaches like you did?
Well, you don't have to log in to do that. That's just the Excel spreadsheet that's downloaded that I did that on.
Oh, okay. So I could do that and email it to Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I thought I was just trying to play around with it and see, okay, is there some other way I can do this that's going to make it different or easier to play around with and see where the home games versus the away games are for these coaches. And that kind of made it pretty easy for me to see that.
Yeah.
And then I just put my little thing there so I'd kind of know who it was. What
And
color.
then in terms of the amount of time for a game.
So she sent out an email with that information.
Okay, I'll look for that.
But
I think I remember it.
I wrote it down.
I'll look for it. I remember seeing it. I forgot about that.
She sent out an email with the game times. They're a little different than what I've used in the past, but pretty close.
Okay. I'll look for that. Okay. Does that player showcase? So you have to enter that like a tournament, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think I remember that too. Okay.
But I don't remember. Yeah, I think you're going to have to, because the Discovery teams get one free showcase. So if they want to do the other one, it's $400.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they're going to do like they did State Cup. They'll create some type of registration system where you have to go register for the showcase. But that was the other question, right? Showcase. Do they need ref fees? So do they need ref fees for the NPL playoffs? Do they need ref fees for the showcases? And where would the Girls 03 team register for State Cup?
Yeah. Our referee fees are going to go through the roof this year. Did you budget for 16 games?
Nope.
That's
did
gonna be
not.
like almost double. Crazy.
A lot of things. And I didn't budget $400 a team to register them, or, that we had to pay, because it's $185 in Presidio.
Yeah.
But You know, oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's good. I actually printed out this calendar. It's legible. You can kind of read it.
Yeah, with a magnifying glass. But it is better. She did correct.
Yeah.
For the older, where the older break is, she's put, you know, a whole column for 0809. And she doesn't put them as part of the olders group like she had on that other calendar that she did.
That other calendar made no sense. This is so much
No.
more clear.
Yeah, this is
I couldn't even explain it to Johnson. It's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
So.
no, this one is much better. This is much better. But I didn't check to see if the dates that she shows they're supposed to play on, they actually play on, and if they're not scheduled to play, if they don't have any games scheduled. I'm gonna have to look at the schedule and kind of test that theory.
Well, yeah, because like October 9th, that's a Saturday. Why wouldn't they have a game on a Saturday? Why would they just have it on the Sunday? You know, that's why I was just wondering, like, maybe it's just a random date so you can reschedule for that date.
But you know what? It does make a difference for us in terms of how many games on any given day I have. Like,
Yeah.
9 games is the most games I have on any one day. And most of them, if you look, like here, I only have 5. Here, I only have 3.
Yeah.
Here, I have 8. Here, I have 5. In some instances, it's actually harder to schedule because I'm hoping the referees will come for only 2 games. But I only have 2 games. I don't have any more games. I have 3 7-a-side, so there's 3 games in a row I can schedule, but I only have 2 11-a-side games. You know, if they say, no, we're only going to come if you do 3, well, it's like, I only have 2 games. I can't create another game out of thin air for you to come referee.
Yeah.
So
do you know I talked to is it Rob Sterling? Is he a referee? Does that name sound familiar? Anyway, he was at the tournament. He was a referee. I brought him back out at the end of the day on Sunday. He did 15 games over the weekend, and he said he didn't do the most. He said there were a couple people he talked to that did 18 games.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Yeah.
No wonder they made mistakes. You know?
Well, yeah, and I mean, we had that situation at our tournament. Remember where those referees lost count of the penalty kicks in Alphonse Gay? They had done 9 games that day.
I know. Well, that's what I'm talking about. It was at our tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I paid for 4 hotel rooms for Keone to bring referees, and he brought referees in from out of state.
Yeah, I know.
And I was emailing back and forth with Chris White about, you know, rec games and stuff. And he said, just be prepared to not have referees at a lot of your games, period.
Wow. So is he willing to do it?
Yeah, he's willing to do it.
Okay. So should I email the people who have said that they are interested in reffing and have them like sign up for arbiter, or email Chris, or what?
Yeah, I would have them email Chris, but do they have their patch?
I think so. I'm double checking that. I had asked them to let me know they have their patch, they're ready to go, you know, like just the details, their age.
Because I was talking to Jeff Lyle about it too, and Jeff said he had like 16 or 17 people that had expressed an interest. And I said, yeah, but do they all have their badges? Are they all, you know, licensed? And he said, I don't know. I got to follow up on that. So
yeah. Okay.
But, you know, he's being really nice about letting me just schedule all our games at Earl Warren.
Well, you've done a lot for him.
Well, that's what he said. He goes, you know, you've done so much for us. I'm fine with this. So
yeah.
Those fields are not that great. I was talking to him yesterday about Skyline, because they want to use Skyline as a 77 field. And I said, so what is the field at Skyline like? Because I don't think we're going to need 3 7-a-side fields. So there's no reason to line 3 fields if we're not going to use them. And he said, well, the field at Skyline is actually, that field is really nice. And I said, well, maybe instead of doing 2 7-a-sides at Earl Warren, we should just do 1. And I'll make Skyline the priority field for 7-a-side games, and we'll fill that one up first, and then overflow will go to Earl Warren, because those fields at Earl Warren are not in that great a shape. And I said, we don't have any place else to put a 9-a-side field, but you know, that maybe that's the way to do it. And then you don't have to pay the school district to line 3 fields at Earl Warren, because it's the district requires that they do the field lining.
Oh, interesting.
So I said that would save you some money then from having to line a 3rd field at Earl Warren, because you can pay Nick or whoever it is that does your lining to just line a field at Skyline. I said,
Yeah.
you know, looking at our combined schedules, I don't think there's ever a day we need more than 2 7-a-side fields.
Yeah.
So
They haven't gotten back to me. Neither Earl Warren or Solana Beach has gotten back to me about the Sundays yet. Just FYI.
I'm not going to need Sundays at Earl Warren though.
Okay.
Looking at this schedule, I'm not going to need it.
Okay. When does this schedule have to be done? I don't remember seeing a date.
By the 31st.
Oh, okay.
That's next Tuesday, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
And tomorrow's Wednesday. I got to get payroll done for Sarah. But the good news is I don't have to have the ref sheets done until the next week for her to transfer the money. So I'll get all the scheduling done first.
I have some stuff which I'm going to work on tonight and email out, just like some refunds that I didn't send yet, you know. And then there was Jordan Snyder. She showed up on that Friday of camp and I didn't know she was showing up. So we owe her technically $45. So there's just some little housekeeping stuff.
Whenever you send Sarah something where she needs to do a check, I mean, you can tell her to either set the check up in QuickBooks and then I'll print it and send it out, or to send it through bill pay.
Okay.
If it doesn't matter the timing of it, then have her just send it through bill pay. But if it's something we need to get out, then have her set it up in QuickBooks. And then always in your email, explain out to her, you know, this is for this. So that's kind of like the backup. This is for this. We're paying this person $50 for helping with camp, and this should be charged to camp payroll or whatever, camps payroll. So she knows where to put it.
Okay.
Because every now and then I go through QuickBooks and I see something put into a category. I'm like, and sometimes I know it's a mistake because she hits the wrong thing in the drop down and just doesn't realize it. But then sometimes I think she kind of guesses at where to put stuff. And I'm like, what is that doing there?
Well, I'll make sure to put in there too, that if it doesn't make sense to have her ask me.
Yeah.
You know, like if she looks at something and she goes, well, there isn't really a line item for this, then if she tells me what it is, I could maybe tell her, or she could ask you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Did the tournament checks, that just went out through bill pay, right?
No, I have Danny's check. I meant to bring it to you on Friday and I forgot.
Oh,
I have
okay.
Danny's check. No, I had her just set those up in QuickBooks and I printed them and mailed them all out last week. I just wanted to get them off my desk.
I need to see you at some point, because I want to give you the laminator so you have it in case you need it with some sleeves and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have some more
and the
charges.
mailbox key. The mailbox
key. Yeah. And I just have a couple odds and ends, and then I have a few things for reimbursement, so I'll just scan those and email them to you.
Yeah.
Or should I do you and Sarah, or?
Yeah, just copy me on them. And then did you ever get a chance to follow up on this
Yeah, I left her a message and she told me she called me and she hasn't called yet. So I left her another
Okay.
message today. But I have
That's
some
fine.
other charges too. So I want to
Okay.
give those to you.
Okay.
So maybe tomorrow's Wednesday, maybe Thursday or something we could catch up.
Okay.
And then before I leave.
For sure before you leave. I know you're going to be up the whole night before you get on that airplane, but that's probably not a bad thing so that you can sleep on the flight over.
Yeah, I don't have a problem sleeping on planes.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. All
Go
right.
eat dinner.
Yeah. You too.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.